Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery, where we learn to make a good mystery great. And today I want to talk about finishing your novel and the struggles that can happen and how you can actually get it done. It's a big project. First, I want to thank my supporters on Patreon for their continued support. They help bring you this series. So, without further ado, let's talk about finishing your novel. I have two uh, mystery writing groups, and one is the group uh, that works with Write a Killer Mystery, and the other is an open group that talks about mystery writing. And what I see is people without a plan can struggle with getting their novel finished. So I thought today I'd just chat about things that can happen and steps you can take as a beginning mystery writer to actually get to the end. So first, a statistic. Yay, oh yeah. So 97% of the people who start a novel never finish. And I don't want you to be one of those people. I want you to be part of the 3% who actually finish their novel. It's a big project and it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to demand commitment on your part. Without commitment, it's not going to happen. So, one of the biggest obstacles when you first start writing a novel is perfectionism. You want all the words to be right and you want all that everything to be wonderful for your readers, don't we all? But I'm telling you, at the beginning, when you're writing the first draft, just let that stuff go. If you think a passage needs a better word, just put a marker in there. I use 4X's. That means I need, and then I can search through the whole manuscript and find those places that I want to augment. Your very first goal is to get to the end. So just put perfectionism aside and work on getting to the end. So first you need that mystery concept. You may have an idea, but there's a difference between an idea for a story and actually writing the story. And I think this is where so many people get stuck. Um, it's better if you have a plan, even in your head. I've talked to a lot of people who call pantsers, who write by the seat of their pants and don't have an outline. But even so, they have an idea, a plan in their head, as it were, of what they want to have happen and who the characters are. So whether you're a pantser or an outliner, you want to have a basic idea of the story. You want to have, especially for a mystery, it helps to know the end. You want to know who actually committed the crime. And your job is going to be to work through the whole novel to get to revealing the the killer, the villain of your story. All right. Um, so, and then you want to know your characters. You want to know who the basic characters are. You want to know, of course, that villain. You want to know your sleuth. You want to know the victim. You want to have suspects. So have an idea of who the characters are and what their personalities are like. And the other thing that helps people get to the end of their story is to make time in their daily life to write. And that means that almost every day, things happen, but almost every day they write, they work on their novel. And even if there's a day where the day is full and you only have 15 minutes, there are things that you can do to help move your story forward. So you can write an outline for the next scene that you want to write. Um, you can add to a character's profile and build more detail about a particular character. You can brainstorm a location. You can, for mysteries, you can brainstorm clues. You can brainstorm how a suspect responds to your sleuth. Um, you can create a timeline for your characters' main story events. There are things you can do even in 15 minutes of time. So, if 15 minutes is all you have, don't let it go by. Use that 15 minutes. Um, and then a little bit more about story plan. Outlines really help your writing go faster. Um, and I work with a software called Plotter, and it's amazing how many people who were plot pantsers now use that outlining system to work on their novel. And even if they write the whole novel by the seat of their pants, when they get to the editing stage, they use it to fill in the gaps in the story, the plot holes, as it were. But we're talking today about getting to the end because it's so important. So here comes the hard part, the long, consistent part, and that is to write that first draft. Start at the beginning, get through the middle, and get to the end and get that first draft done. You aren't going to believe until you do it, you're not going to believe how much getting to the end means, because there's things you can do in the editing stage to go back and fix things, and you don't have to figure all those things out while you're writing that first draft. I can't stress that enough. Just get the story written, and then you'll have a much better idea of things that you want to build, and um, when you find plot holes, ways to add to the story, or when you find a long narrative passage, a way to add a little mini action scene to kind of spice things up. But you don't worry about that in the first draft. The first draft is not perfectionism, not perfectionism. The first draft is getting the story told. And you will feel a great sense of accomplishment when you do that. So write that first draft. I'm looking at my notes here. And I think that one of the other things that happens when people give up and they're part of that 97% is they aren't motivated to finish the story. So you do need motivation. And one of the ways that you can help yourself with the motivation is to connect with other writers. Some people use a writing buddy, and you each make a commitment to write a certain amount per week, or however you do it. And you may meet once a week to talk about what you've been doing and also what your plans for the next step in your story is. And you just get that emotional support to know that you're on your way to finishing your story. Another way is to join a writers group, and I've talked about that here on Write a Killer Mystery, so you may want to look at one of those other videos. So you learn how to find the right writers group, because the wrong one will be bad. So, but you can get emotional support from a writers group. So, motivation, keeping your motivation going is going to help you finish that story as well. So, you really want to finish that story, and without that as a goal, without that as a major goal, you want to actually get to the end. If you don't have that as a goal in your head, you're not going to get there. So, so motivation is a big part of getting to the end. And I think that's all I want to say about that. But I just see so many people give up when they don't need to. So I thought today I would talk about ways to actually get that story idea down, turn it into a novel, and get to the end. So keep writing. Keep writing. If you have any comments, please put them below. And thanks for being here. Writing is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And you will too. And I think the other thing I want to say about getting to the end is that sometimes there's a place in the story writing process. Usually comes from most writers, and it happens to all writers. So this is another thing I want you to know is all writers go through this whole novel writing process. But one of the things that happens is that the story can feel stuck, or they lose the motivation for the story because they don't know where this story's going, and that happens usually someplace after the midpoint in that kind of third section of your story. So there are things that you can do to help you get through that stuck place, and those are things like um, actually, for this part, writing an outline of what happens next and then what happens last and what the reversals are and what the twists might be, and really digging deep into that part so you can keep writing. And that refers back to what I said about planning helps you write faster. And so planning that section where you get stuck can help you keep going. So, one last tip I want to leave with you about getting your story finished. So, the reward is absolutely fantastic. When you finish your story, it's just this great feeling of, I did it, I finished. And if you're like me, it's going to motivate you to write another novel. But of course, the first one is the big challenge. So I just encourage you to do it. Do it. Write that mystery novel. All right. Thank you. And I will see you next week.